Well, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening in from. We are at episode 6. How exciting is that? Of the very gorgeous podcast, The Divine Mess. And I am here with my fabulous co-host, Mr. Deva Perriman. And today we are going to be chatting about something that I listen to on a Mel Robbins podcast, because Dava and I normally send each other snippets of when we hear something that really sort of presses a button or turns the light switch on for us. And I listened to one the other day whilst I was driving, and it was talking about finding a North Star, finding a person that you admire, whether it be from afar, whether it be someone that's in your inner circle that you want to aspire to be like. So whether it's in the way in which they run their business, whether it's in the way in which they take care of themselves physically, whether they're a yoga devotee or whether they're a gym junkie or a triathlete or whatever they happen to be, or whatever that North Star person happens to be. But in the podcast, Mel was talking about there's actually a 3-stage process in which we should copy these people, when we want to develop new habits in our life. And that first stage is to emulate the person. So we dive deep in, let's say, for me, I love Mel Robbins. So it's like, okay, Mel Robbins has got a really successful podcast. How? So we listen to a lot of her episodes, we dive in, we have a look at how she runs her social media. We try and learn as much as we can about Mel's process and what it is about her that makes her successful. And so once we've done all of that sort of research, then we want to take on those characteristics that Mel has, almost copying to an extent, like we go, okay, well, Mel posts on every day and she posts at least one video and she posts 3 tiles and, she talks about her upcoming podcast, and it's normally something to do with what's on in her world in this week. Then she does some research, and so then she brings it all together. So she brings that real life experience plus the science that goes in behind it. But then after we've done that part, we need to innovate. So we need to throw a little bit of Tina magic in there, and we need to throw a little bit of Dava magic in there. So we are doing a similar process, but with our own twist on it, our own spin on it. So I messaged Dava very, very excitedly in the car the other day and said, well, what do you think about this? Because I think it's a really important way to have a look at someone that we admire, like, is it their masculine traits that we really admire, their strength and their ability to strategize, or their ability to just kind of go with the flow and be very creative and, see beauty and joy and, all of the fabulous things that come with both energies. And so I was going to ask my lovely friend, who has a multitude of things that he likes to dip his toes into, to find out what his or whom, there may be a broad range of people, his North Star. So my very good friend, Mr. Dava, who would you say? Do you have a number one that you would go, I want to be like?
Well, thank you, Tina, for that lovely introduction. For those who are coming to listen to us again, thank you again for tuning in every week. We look forward to your feedback. And when Tina messaged me about this, I was like, yep, we are all in. And it happened, as it happened many times. We are listening to the same podcast, we are watching the same videos, And that's how we are in sync. And that's tell you a lot about our soul friendship that we shared. And I'm really grateful that I can share that podcast with her as well.
Try and make me laugh every week.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And when you asked me that question, like, who is my North Star, I started to think about it. Like the moment, I think it was last week, and I was like, oh my God, I have to go for a list. And I tried to narrow it down, and it was like, okay, I need to become like specific about what I want. Because then I realized that's why many people get stuck on that question, like, what do I want? But when you tell them, like, who do you want to emulate or look like, or not look like, sorry, like you want to do the same thing that they are doing, like in life, maybe as a podcast, for example, like you said, like Mel Robbins, it become easier. And I was thinking, for me, it came down to the number one will be Jay Shetty.
Mhm.
And because I feel that he shared the similar kind of like culture wise, and insight and wisdom as well, that I always aim for. And in terms of that divine, like in terms you were talking about the strength, like the strength, and I was thinking like of the rock. I think Mel as well said
Yes,
that.
she
Like
did. Yeah.
she did. And because the rock is one of a kind in terms of the never give up attitude, like that warrior type, I would say, that never gives up, always training, having the same discipline, whether he's shooting for a movie or not. But it's not about the muscle or all of that. It's the level of commitment he has to his dreams. Because I still remember his story about like the $7. So that's why he called his production $7, because
Yeah.
he only had $7 at one point in his life. And now he's one of the best paid actors, like top of the list.
But I mean,
And
there's so many other like diversified businesses that he has.
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
got a tequila company, and obviously his production company, and so many other diversified businesses. It's not just the fact that he's an actor.
No.
He's such a well-rounded human.
And the fact, like you said, like the diverse, his portfolio, his investment portfolio is so wide. It has widened over the years. And I think he's creating another in terms of football, like the American football as well. There's something else that he already started, the tequila business. His brand was one of the fastest growing, like for tequila. That tells you a lot about this man's vision and determination and persistence. And that's what I aim for. And I was thinking about that, like in terms of sports, or because like you said, I think in the second episode or third episode, what I do, I'm triathlete as well. So training is a big part of my life. And that's what I aim for, in terms, not to look like him, because that's going to take some years.
It may take some bricks in your shoes too, mate, I reckon.
Yeah, but as well, but it's the attitude, and in terms of how he sees his vision, his clarity on the vision, and how he take action. And I feel that's where the divine masculine come into place. Like that's where he takes the action, and in terms of his goal, it's not just like a dream, but it's a goal. Like it's a deadline. It has a deadline.
Yeah, he's really like, you have to obviously have that big picture vision of what it is that you want for your life. And that's all well and good. But if that vision isn't narrowed down into like those really specific goals, and then, okay, that's a goal. How do I get there? What are the specific steps that I need to take in order to achieve that goal, which is a stepping stone on the way to that big picture vision? It's really important to understand that process, that it doesn't just, like Gabby Bernstein says, it's not like you just, I want to win $1 million, and you just sit there and you manifest, and then $1 million falls in your lap. She goes, sorry, there's some bloody hard work that comes between you thinking that you want to manifest something and you actually achieving it. The timeline is what can vary greatly, dependent on the energy output and your ability to magnetically attract the things that you desire.
And your belief, like how much like you believe in yourself and in the dreams as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I like with Jay Shetty as well, like his wisdom in terms of how you use your mind. And he explained it using his videos, which are very creative. And that's what I like about Jay Shetty as well. His creativity in using the videos in explaining maybe complex term into very simple analogy, using like, for example, like a glass of water, like just explaining your mind, like how to empty your mind, empty your cup. We also always explain about that.
Yes.
Because when there's so much in your cup and constantly we're thinking, oh, what we have to do next, like what we have to cook, or do I have to pick the children, or it just overflows and you're not taking care of your cup. And that's where you can't put anything. So if someone come and tell you there's another disaster struck, and that's where you just burst, like you can't handle it.
Yeah, the cup overflows. You've got to know when you reach maximum capacity, and that's kind of when that whole, I suppose, decluttering process needs to come in, not only in your mind and in your energetic space, but also like your physical home space, your car, your garden, your house, and everything. You need to make space in order to have these new things, new people, new experiences, financial, abundance. The flow needs to be, it needs to be able to flow somewhere. And the thing is, if you've got gates and doors blocking stuff off, honey, I don't care what you do, it's not going to happen. It's not coming to you in any way, shape or form. And
that's where I feel, because I was thinking as well, how the North Star can connect with the divine masculine and divine feminine. And I was like, well, when you reflect on those North Star, like the person you want to emulate, like the person you want to aim, that's your aim. That's a reflection. And that's the divine feminine, your being, like you're sitting with yourself. And maybe discovering that within you, there are qualities that are similar to those persons that you didn't know you have, or you still have, and it's within you.
Yes, well, you just haven't unearthed them yet, right? So like that's that whole concept. If you're looking at someone and you're admiring their strength, their organizational capacity, their ability to love, their ability to do business and to do family, or like their whole life journey, finances, personal business, health, career, all of it, they seem to have a really good, even spread of things. Doesn't mean that they're not dealing with ups and downs every single day, but it appears that they have a good spread of those things. So I think if you're admiring those traits in someone, like you say, they are acting as a mirror for you. So if you don't feel that you have those traits, well, then you wouldn't have been attracted to them in the first place. They're there. They just might need digging out.
They are not your competition. They shouldn't be. Like, it shouldn't be, because I feel like the divine has put in all of us like something special. That's why we are here, and we all have something special to share.
Yes.
Maybe you have not discovered it yet, and that's okay. And I feel that's the divine feminine coming into place, telling you it's okay. That's the nurturing part to yourself, saying it's okay. Yes, you aim, like, for example, to train like The Rock, for example, the discipline. Maybe you're not waking up at 3:30 or 4 and training like him, because he does have a personal gym for himself, by the way. That's something else. He carries
and probably a nutritionist and a
Yeah.
chef and someone to clean his house and someone that, manages his businesses and all the rest of it. Like, I think we have to look at the things that we admire, and how can we, that's the ultimate end game, right?
Yeah.
Like if that's the way you want to be, but how can you scale it for yourself when you still have kids to take care of, a job to go to, a house to clean, dogs to walk, bills to pay, all of those sorts of things? How can you begin to sort of loving teenagers? How can you stack those habits where you're prioritizing self first?
Yes.
And then going, okay, well, I might not have 3 hours a day to train like The Rock, but I've got half an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that half an hour count, right?
That's the start.
Even if it's a 10-minute workout beside your bed.
Yeah.
Right. If you get into the routine and the habit of going, okay, when the alarm goes off, I do 10 minutes worth of exercise. I roll out a yoga routine, or I roll out some sort of body weight exercise. You begin to stack those habits over time. And what you're doing is actually becoming that next level
of
person.
yourself.
Yeah, well, that the universe knows that you're capable of.
Yes.
You just have to realize that you can meet that potential and so much more.
And I feel that once you have chosen, like you've seen your North Star, it means you've seen something in them that you have within you.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, like, because that's what I felt like, and when I was like thinking about what you asked, like, because I reflected on what you asked, and I know you never ask any question like randomly. That doesn't happen ever.
There's always a reason.
Yeah, there's always, and I was reflecting on that, and I was like, yeah, because I can see myself, like, for example, maybe doing the podcast like Jay Shetty, and it's not copying him, but it's like you said, adding like Tina's twist or Deva's twist, or bring in your own magic. And that's what people need, I feel, should understand as well. That's where they are not your competition. And maybe you take them as your online mentors, like we do as well. Like we learn like from Mel Robbins every single day. I would say every single day.
Yeah.
With her videos and her quotes and her books. And we have different mentors, but if you just find one right now that will suit you, that you feel you can do like just one step today towards that goal, like you said, for 30 minutes, maybe it's not 3 hours, but 30 minutes.
And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes in one hit either. Like you can take 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at lunchtime and 10 minutes at the end of the day, because it's cumulative, right? In order to build any habit, whether you want to start reading books, or you want to start journaling, or you want to start meditating, or you want to start a podcast, or you want to start showing up more regularly on social media because you feel that you've got a message that you want to share, we have to have a level of consistency in everything. And I know I struggle with consistency all the time, because I stepped back into that old version of myself going, well, who really gives a shit what you've got to say? Why the hell would you want to be out there? And then it's like, well, I'm showing up for me because I want to look back in 12 months' time and go, look at all the hard work you were doing and you didn't think it mattered. And then, 12 months' time, you're going, well, you've got a book. You and Dave are running courses. You've got your podcast. We've impacted, tens of thousands of people simply by showing up for one another every day and every week consistently. And then we're also then sharing that message.
Yeah.
So it's just a consistency. We've just got to start with one thing.
Yeah.
I think that is part of, you know, if it is, put their picture up on your bathroom mirror and look at it every morning and go, okay, what would The Rock do today? You know, or what would Jay do today? Or, you know, like if you want to pick Mel Robbins or Gabby Bernstein, or, you know, it could be your partner, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be your mum and dad, it could be anybody, your best friend that you think they really know, you know, they're rocking it and they're being successful, whether it's a success as a parent, whether it's a success in their career, whether it's a success in taking care of themselves, whatever it happens to be. Give yourself a daily reminder that you too can be that.
Yeah. And just set like you said, it doesn't need to be like The Rock or Jay Shetty or someone else. Like can be like your dad or mom or your grandparents, you know, like someone you always admire. And just ask yourself, what did you admire in them? Like, what is the one thing and that you know that you can do today, like right now, you know, like if it's like they love reading books, you know, like just take one book and just read one page today. And that's a win. That's a win, because I know some people like they think like by reading books it means like you finish the book or you read one chapter. And if you just read one page, it's a fail. And I'm like, no, even if you have read one paragraph or one sentence, because as we know, one word can change your life.
Yes.
Yeah. And you were talking about the impact in the coming year. And I can tell you right away, like I've been hearing some feedback and I can tell you like you're changing people in my life. So I'm really grateful for, you know. And
that's exciting for me. Like, you know,
Yeah.
to think that we have the ability to, you know, help someone that's having a low down knockout day and going, why am I here? What's my purpose? What the hell am I supposed to be doing with my life? And if we can have that, you know, that little bit of impact for somebody in terms of making them think, well, someone else can get past all their own bullshit, well then, you know, maybe I can get past mine too. You know, all I need to do is have a little courage or a little faith or love myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I'll start to see the results. But and I think belief is a massive part. We have to believe that things are going to be better, even when we can see no evidence, none, that it will. We have to have the belief and the faith that if we continue to do the work.
And it's like Wayne Dyer who said, I think, like you will see it when you believe it. It's not the other way around.
No.
And I believe it's so true. Like, because now in our society, like we live in that social media, like technological time where we are always comparing, but instead like I love that word emulating, you know, like what can I learn from that? And that's a shift in your perspective. And you can just sit down, maybe take 15 minutes, say, oh, what can I learn from that? And just take that one thing and just write it down and just do it.
Yeah, and then it's assimilating that habit, right? It's going, okay, well, Mel shows up at least twice a day on social media. I reckon I can show up once a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show up once a day. That's my commitment to myself.
Yeah.
But we also cannot be hideously hard on ourselves or kick ourselves if we don't show up one day. You know, like if the world's gone to hell in a handbasket and you don't have time to scratch yourself, let alone get on a live and go, I'm like Mel would do, I'm having a shitful day and I can't get my stuff together and I'm eating ice cream sundaes like there's no tomorrow and I'm trying to figure out why I'm doing that. If you don't have the capacity to do it on that day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just pick yourself up again and do it the next day.
because
you know.
you have to remind yourself, like maybe 6 months ago or 3 months ago, you wouldn't never ever thought of doing like going for a live, for example, right? So if you
No.
miss one day, and that's where that's okay.
Yeah.
Come, that's okay. You can do it again. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's you set, let's say you set yourself a goal that every single day you are going to post, right? And it's 1 minute to midnight, maybe. You still have time, right? And you can tell yourself, I can do it,
I've
even
got
that.
30 seconds, you know, I
Yeah.
might see a post from Dava or Tina or The
Mm.
Rock or Gabby Bernstein and go, you know what, that's really impactful for me. If I share it, it might make a difference for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
And something I realized as well, because I reflected a lot about this question,
Really?
was like I was going to ask you that, like, do you feel that your North Stars, like people whom you admire, has changed over time?
Oh God, yes, 1000%. I mean, there's one that probably hasn't changed in some time, probably about 8 years.
Yeah.
A woman that I learned about by reading an article in a newspaper, and I could just go, oh, it was before I was divorced. It was before any of my life radically changed.
Yeah.
She was working in a small town. She worked for a local jeweler. She was a mum with 3 boys, lived on a farm. Her husband was a farmer. The marriage went belly up, and she was like, shit, now I've got to support myself and my kids, and how do I go about doing that? And because she was actively involved in the small town, she stayed with her job at the jewelry store, and then he decided he was going to teach her everything that he knew. So she took on board all of this knowledge and wisdom and expertise, and she had a love of Doris Day movies, and you know, those fabulous movies in the 50s where it was all fashion and flair and beautiful jewelry, and so she created her company from that, and now they're probably one of the most successful Australian manufacturing jewelers, and
Wow.
her son is, I think, the CFO of her company. And, you know, that for me was just like this North Star. She still sits there for me as a person that has impacted my life without her knowledge of doing so, like in terms of going, you can learn a new trade in your late 30s, early 40s. You can build a really successful business when you're a single mum and you've got kids and you've got all the stuff going on. And she creates the most beautiful, divine, simple, you know, on that same level for me as like Cartier or Tiffany, or you know, just that elegance that I love. And so she still sits there for me as a woman that's done it. Like she's already walked the path, and she acts like that lighthouse. But I suppose a little bit like you, like I've got a lot of people that I admire, but it wasn't until Mel actually broke down that process, because it's all very well and good admiring someone and saying they're your North Star, but the thing is, your life is never going to change unless you work out what it is that you actually admire about them. And instead of just consistently looking at their social media from that Vaseline, you know, Sophia Loren, everything's beautiful lens, really break it down and go, what is it about their success that I would like to emulate? You know, and then how do I assimilate that into my own personal life, my own business life, my family, whatever it happens to be? And then how do I add my, you know, what's my spin? What's my twist on it? How do I innovate what it is that they do in order to make it mine, you know, so that then I can turn around and teach my kids, or I can teach my best friend, or I can get all excited and get on the phone and ring my bestie and go, hey mate, how about this? So yeah, for me, I think I've got, you know, like Mel Robbins, absolutely love, and you know, I love her raw honesty and like let it all hang out. There's just, she's not afraid of dropping an F-bomb or a this and that in there, or calling people on their crap. And you know, I love Gabby Bernstein from the point of her spiritual nature and her ability to manifest. And then Brené Brown, when she talks about vulnerability and feelings and making it a socially acceptable thing to talk about. And then I've got people within my inner circle that I really admire their businesses, and you know, they've given me tools and skills. And for the longest time, you know, until I heard that podcast, I just went, oh yeah, that's great. I didn't actually go, oh, thank you for that knowledge and information, and then really utilize it and sit down and really articulate exactly what it was I wanted from my business and from my life. And you know, what's my big hairy audacious goal for my life? You know, what is that? What does that actually look like? You know, how many, you know, we've both spoken about it before, but for me, I want to impact 1 million souls, you know, and I would like to do that over a period of 5 years. But you know what, if I can do it in 12 months, then come on, let's go and impact another 10 million, or let's go and impact 100 million people, you know, like, I think. And
your energy shift in that moment, like the moment you said, like in 1 year instead of 5 years, instantly within
there's an instant shift in going, wow, the only person that's stopping me from doing that's me. The only person that's the big scaredy cat with the that's me, right? So that's, I think, you know, that was a massive shift in saying to you, come on, let's get this rocking and rolling, let's get on the road and let's get started. Because it was time. You know how you said before when you were saying the word yet, like, don't worry, it hasn't happened yet, you know. But I went, I'm sick of waiting for yet. Let's let's get going. But you know, like, I've got other friends in my social circle that I admire their dedication and their consistency when it comes to their training and their physical health and their nutritional health. And you know, you look at the, holy shit, I'm approaching 50 and I don't want to be one of those bent over, crinkled up old ladies. Like, you know, when you're a teenager and you look at someone that's 50 and go, fuck, they're old.
I can clearly remember those moments.
I don't want that, right? Like, I don't want to have, I want to feel that I'm stepping into the most potent, powerful, passionate years of my life. And the only way in which I can do that is, like you said, is building in that self-care routine and knowing that if I take care of myself first, then I have capacity within that energetic cup of being able to take care of the people that I love and my friends and my clients and all the people that surround me, get the best of me when I've invested in myself. But I loved that process because it really made me think long and hard about how I can start to stack some of those habits into my daily and to stop ridiculing myself if a step gets missed.
Yeah, I love your story about the woman that you followed for 8 years and you're still following.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant that you actually have someone that you have been following so long,
Yeah.
and it act like your guide, mentor in a way, maybe from a distance, but you still can follow, you know.
Yeah, and it's still an inspiration to me when I look at her jewelry, and it's something that I'm getting back into now, is just that passion for me has been restored, or the fire's been lit up underneath my butt again, to kind of go, well, I think all of us need some sort of touchstone, like in terms of knowing that you've done the work, and when you're feeling wobbly, to be able to pick it up and go, I've done the work. I'm continuing to do the work, but I've done a lot of heavy lifting, and I think that a lot of people could benefit from having something that they've taken the time and the effort to work with someone to design something, to go, that's my piece, whether it's an earring or a ring or a bracelet or a pendant or a necklace or something. And it reminds us about the capacity and the strengths and the abilities that we've chosen to bring in from those people that we admire, whether from up close and personal or from a very big distance via social media, to then be able to go, I can do this. So just one of the other many things that my creative brain is in 1,000 a minute.
But I was like, for me, like over the years, it has shifted, of course. Like I remember in teenage, it would be a football player. He's a
Lionel Messi or someone like that,
Oh, he's Zinedine Zidane. I don't know if you know.
Right. Yep.
So I always admired his skill. Like that would be in terms of football, in terms of the game and the passion for the game. But for me, the ultimate, like I have two ultimate, I would say. It would be my dad and my grandfather. Yeah, because firstly, my grandfather, because of his discipline, like still at over 19 years old, over 90, not 19, over 90.
He feels 19 on the inside, doesn't he? Yep.
He's still doing like ab work, like leg race. And I'm like, even I can't do that much, but that's fine. No, I'm kidding. But even he can do that, like, and he's so disciplined, like in terms of his routine, like waking up, no matter if he's sick or not, he still have the same wherever he is. And that's something I always admire. And my dad would be, because at 60, when he retired as a physics educator for over 40 years, he said, I'm going to repurpose my life. So he's an academic life coach. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, because everyone think of like just, like, because we live in Mauritius, like my parents still live in Mauritius, and it's like chilling
Life
at the beach.
Is crazy.
It's like cruising, all of that, enjoying the weather, enjoying the beach, all of that. But no, he decided I can repurpose my life and actually help parents now. He's helping parents how to parent like their teenagers, and he's doing workshop, all those kind of work. And I always admire that. Like no matter your age, you can still serve.
And your dad's an amazing human, like in terms of, I think it's incredible when someone has that vast knowledge on teenagers and how they think and what they do, that you can, like you say, you can repackage that into something different, and to be able to act as that North Star for parents to go, oh, I've got a teenage boy and I don't know what to do with him, or teenage girls for that matter, because they're out of my wheelhouse. It's not something I understand, but I could assume that much like teenage boys, they can be a handful. But to have someone like your dad to act as that North Star, to be able to, go, we need help, please, you know, like to be able to put your hand up.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, your dad is ultimately living his purpose by educating. Like, you know, he's continuing that purpose of educating, irrespective of whether he's standing in a school by a chalkboard and educating. He's still utilizing those skills, but just in a different way.
Yeah, because I came from a family who are in, like my mom as well was a kindergarten educator, and she's still like willing to help. She has her business as well, where she's helping women over 60 about their health. And I'm like, that's amazing as well, because she was inspired by my dad in a way to repurpose her life. So she's like, why not? And since now they have a grandkid, which they have to travel, so they have to repurpose their life in a way to your country, Australia. And I feel that they're really inspiring, that no matter your age, like maybe people who are listening and feel like, oh, I reach like 40 or 50, or I can't do that. Like, no.
Or I'm 20 and I don't know what my bloody purpose is.
Yes.
Like, holy shit.
I'm 16 maybe, and I don't know what to do with my life. And that's okay. And I think I was watching, there was a talk, there's a video that was going on about with Tom Hanks and several other actors like Jamie Foxx. And he said something really striking for me, was like, he says, when you're happy, this too shall pass. When you're sad, this too shall pass.
Yep.
When you're angry, this too shall pass. And I was like, that's brilliant. And that's what you need to tell yourself in those moments. Sometimes it's just reminding yourself that this too shall pass.
Yeah. And you know, will it matter in 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years?
Yeah.
You know, like it just, and is it yours to take on board?
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, if you have that North Star and you go, is it mine to take on board? Whatever crap you're wading through, or the joy and happiness that you're swimming through, it's going to pass, because this life that we lead is a big gold Ferris wheel, and it keeps going round and around and around and around, and there's going to be high points and there's going to be low points, and there's going to be shit in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to enjoy the ride. Pick that point, pick that person that you want to, you know, have stand out in your life and going, they can do it. And they started from nothing. They started out with $7 in their pocket. Shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a crack too.
And I think it's going back to that wave analogy, like riding the wave, like surfing it. Just look at how they are surfing it, and maybe check out their surfboard. And it doesn't matter which kind of surfboard they have. You can still build your own and start your own.
Yeah.
And
yours like might not be a surfboard. It might be a skateboard. Might be a snowboard. Might be a set of skis.
Matter.
Doesn't matter. Right?
Doesn't matter. But it's just starting. That's the starting.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good way to end, right? By starting.
Start at the very beginning, and it's a good spot to press the stop button for today, I think. So we would love to hear from you all in terms of who's your North Star? Who's the, you know, because Dava and I are all about learning. So if there's someone really sexy out there that we are not in touch with in terms of checking out their socials or listening to their podcasts or reading their books, and that we're missing it, please feel free, you know. Yeah.
And tell us why as well. Like, that's important. Yeah, just send us a message and give us feedback. And thank you everyone for listening again for our 6th episode. And we're looking forward for more.
Hands. So excited. Look, we're 4 away from 10, man.
Yeah. Perfect 10. And that's the first goal that we are aiming at, right?
Well, you know what? We aim to show up consistently for one another every week. And I think that's our first goal. But having double-digit episodes under our belt, like what the hell, you know, like when we first met, we would never have thought that this was possible, but here we are, you know.
We're already feeling like superstars right now, like just visualizing that feeling, hitting
walking
the
on
double
stage,
digit.
having the, well, you know what, we'd love to have this conversation with a group of people. You know, like we would love to have this conversation where we could sit on a couch and you guys could come and pick our brains. You know,
and that will be really awesome if we can do that. Like
that's a BHAG for us, ladies and gents. So, you know, like if you want to help us accommodate that, tune us in, let us know how to do it. So, my good friend, go and enjoy what is left of your very beautiful day.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, do the same. Go find a little bit of joy. Go find some sunshine or a puddle to jump in and have some fun.
Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your day or night, wherever you're listening.
Yep.
See you.
And we will tune in with you next week. Till then, take care. Bye.